What if I told you that by October 31st, 2025, your grocery receipt could rise by over 40%, not because you're buying more, but because the food system is breaking down right under your feet? Butter has jumped $1.50 in a week. Avocado toast is now 18 bucks. Olive oil is climbing faster than gas. And this isn't inflation, it's collapse in disguise. Tariffs, droughts, viruses, and corporate hoarding are quietly rewriting what affordable even means in America. How many more price shocks can your pantry take? Will your Social Security check still stretch far enough when staples like coffee or tuna double in cost overnight? This isn't fear-mongering. It's the math they hope you're too tired to do. But we did it. We followed the trends. We talked to the insiders, and we found 10 essential items at Costco you need to secure now, before the shelves are empty or the price tags are unrecognizable. This is the Downturn Report, where the truth gets personal. Let's break down the 10 foods you absolutely must grab before the chaos hits harder. Number 1. Coffee. Imagine waking up one morning, dragging your feet to the kitchen and finding out your daily comfort. Your warm, grounding cup of coffee has vanished. Not because you forgot to buy it, but because the shelves are empty. Again. And this time, not even your usual go-to Costco run can save you. Sound far-fetched? It's already happening. In a matter of months, the price of Kirkland Colombian coffee leapt from $9.99 to $15.99, a bone-chilling 60% hike. But that's just the prelude. Now, insider whispers from Costco managers are surfacing. Allocation limits are coming. That's not retail code for special deal. It's corporate speak for we're running out. And when Costco, the land of bulk and bountiful aisles, starts rationing coffee, you know the storm has already landed. What's behind this brewing crisis? A perfect trifecta of disaster. Brazil and Colombia, which together fuel over 80% of America's coffee supply, are both in deep trouble. Crops have been battered by erratic droughts. And just when things couldn't get worse, the U.S. Department of Agriculture confirmed it's eyeing 100% tariffs on Brazilian coffee. That's not a warning. That's a loaded gun pointed at every single American household that relies on caffeine to get through the day. You think eggs at $9 a dozen were bad? Wait until coffee hits $8 to $10 a cup at your local diner. Some cafes are already rewriting their menus in pencil just to keep up. And here's the kicker. Coffee grows on a 2-year cycle, which means the damage from last year's drought was always going to echo into this fall. But combine that with shrinking imports, aggressive tariffs, and consumer panic buying, and we're looking at a shortage the size of Texas. Do you do when the coffee pot's half full and the world's going half mad? You beat them to the shelf. Smart folks are loading up now. Not hoarding, but hedging. At Costco, you can still snag Colombian, House Blend, or even Starbucks roast at about 25 cents a cup. Compare that to 10 bucks at a cafe, and the math is more comforting than the coffee itself. Here's a little tip. If you've got room in your freezer, stash extra bags in there. Coffee stays fresh for up to 2 years sealed. That's what we call inflation insurance. Cheaper than gold, and it smells better too. And no, this isn't panic, it's preparation. Because when America's working class is being squeezed from every angle, rent, gas, groceries, the last thing we can afford to lose is the one thing that helps us face it all. A decent cup of coffee. Don't be caught staring into an empty mug this winter. Be the one who planned ahead while everyone else laughed it off. Until they weren't laughing anymore. Stock up before October 31st, because once the calendar flips to November, the only thing brewing might be regret. Number 2. Maple syrup. You know something's wrong when maple syrup starts costing more than the pancakes it's meant to go on, but that's exactly where we're headed. And fast. Just last month, bottles of real Canadian maple syrup quietly crept up to $18 at everyday grocery stores. And that's not at some artisanal farmer's market with handwritten labels and flannel shirts. That's your average supermarket aisle. What's scarier? That's likely the cheapest it's going to be for a long time. As we speak, the United States is preparing to slap a 25% tariff on maple syrup imported from Canada, which wouldn't be such a crisis if Canada didn't happen to supply over 70% of the entire world's maple syrup. And just like that, your weekend breakfast just became collateral damage in an economic knife fight between two governments. Think you'll just switch to a local American supplier? Not so fast. Unlike wheat or corn, there's no next best state when it comes to maple syrup. This isn't something we can scale up on short notice. There's no Wisconsin version of Quebec. Once that pipeline chokes, the shelves empty, and the prices go skyward. During the last syrup shortage, people in Vermont, yes, Vermont, had to drive into Canada to get affordable bottles because the shelves in their hometown stores were cleared out or sticker shocked beyond belief. And that was without tariffs. But here's the part they don't print on the bottle. Real maple syrup never goes bad. That's not marketing fluff. That's chemical truth. An unopened bottle, stored properly, can last 15 years or more. With zero spoilage, zero crystallizing, and zero artificial garbage turning into weird sludge. It's as stable as honey, but with the flavor profile chefs write poem about. Meanwhile, the pancake syrup you find next to it on the shelf, that's just corn syrup in a fancy disguise. It's cheap because it's fake, and it spoils in months. Add it up over a year, and most families spend more replacing bad syrup than they would have if they'd bought the good stuff once. That's why Costco's $14.99 jug of organic Kirkland maple syrup is flying off the shelves. It's not just a condiment, it's an inflation-proof pantry investment. The price won't stay that low once tariffs hit. Canadian producers are already signaling they'll cut back exports in response, and when supply drops, you know what comes next. American families paying $25 or more just to pour something sweet on their Sunday breakfast. Imagine needing a credit check just to make French toast. The smartest households aren't stockpiling out of fear. They're planning ahead, calmly filling a freezer with a couple of bottles now, because a sealed jug keeps perfectly in cold storage. They know that waiting until Halloween to act means being the person staring at a $30 syrup bottle on a half-empty shelf, wondering how breakfast became a rich man's game. Don't let that be you. This isn't about panic, it's about priorities. In a time when eggs flirt with $10 a dozen and milk's getting treated like it's imported champagne, that bottle of maple syrup is one of the last sweet things you can still buy smart. And enjoy for years. Don't wait. Stock up before October 31st, or you'll be watching the price of syrup rise faster than your blood pressure. Number 3. Olive oil. It might just sit there on your kitchen shelf, looking harmless in its green-tinted bottle, but olive oil, the quiet heart of countless home-cooked meals, is now turning into a luxury no one saw coming. And unless you act before Halloween, you might find yourself standing in line at the grocery store, staring at a $45 price tag, wondering how something as humble as olive oil suddenly became liquid gold. Right now, Costco's 2-liter bottle of Kirkland Signature Italian extra virgin olive oil is holding steady at $27.99 in most locations. But in California, members are already reporting price hikes to $34.99, a jaw-dropping $7 jump in just weeks. And this is no glitch. Behind the scenes, things are unraveling fast. The European Union, long America's trusted supplier of high-quality olive oil, is about to impose a tariff hike from 10% to 30% by August of next year. That's not a mild bump. That's a 3-alarm fire for your pantry. Add that to a tangled web of Mediterranean shipping delays and harvest disruptions, and what you're looking at is the beginning of a full-scale olive oil crisis. Remember the droughts that scorched southern Europe just 2 seasons ago? Spain and Italy, the twin powerhouses of global olive oil, reported some of the worst harvests in decades. Prices surged by 40% overnight, and stores across the US struggled to restock shelves. That wasn't just an economic headline. That was your neighbor Sarah knocking on your door, asking if you had half a cup to spare so she could make Sunday pasta for her family. And if that sounds dramatic, wait till this wave hits. According to internal memos sent to warehouse managers at major retailers, Labor Day 2025 will be the turning point. By then, pricing will no longer reflect current retail expectations. That's corporate speak for brace yourself. So what does that mean for you? Well, if you use olive oil for cooking, dressing, dipping, or baking, which you almost certainly do, the time to act is now. Costco's price hasn't caught up to the chaos yet, and that's your window. Buying 2 bottles now might sound excessive, but consider this. Properly stored in a cool, dark pantry, olive oil stays fresh for at least 18 months. That's long enough to ride out the first wave of price hikes and save your household upwards of $400 if you use it regularly. That's not food snobbery, that's financial sense. This is one of those moments when the smart move isn't to wait and see, it's to prepare. Not panic, prepare. Just like folks buy canned goods before a hurricane or salt before a snowstorm, this is about buying peace of mind before the storm hits the shelf. Because once it does, olive oil won't just cost more, It might disappear entirely from discount stores and be relegated to boutique shelves with boutique prices. And let's be honest, none of us are putting down $45 for a splash of salad dressing. The smart play? Grab 2 bottles now, maybe 3 if you've got the room, and stash them in a dark cabinet. It's one of the easiest ways to outsmart inflation without compromising what you put on your plate. Because the truth is, the price of olive oil may rise, but your standard of living doesn't have to fall with it. Number 4. Vanilla extract. You probably don't think much about the bottle of vanilla extract in your cabinet until the day it vanishes, or worse, skyrockets into a luxury item you can't justify buying. That day is closer than you think. Something unsettling is happening in the baking aisle, and most people won't see it coming until it's too late. Vanilla, the quiet champion of cakes, cookies, custards, even your morning oatmeal, is about to be hit with a wave of scarcity and sticker shock like we haven't seen in years. Why? Because Madagascar, the small island nation responsible for over 80% of the world's vanilla beans, is now facing a brutal 47% export tariff. That's not a gentle nudge in price. That's a wrecking ball aimed straight at your recipe box. What's worse, supply lines are already starting to crumble. Wholesalers are warning that by August, they can no longer guarantee availability, and if they do secure product, prices could triple. Think about that. A $14.99 bottle of Kirkland Pure Vanilla could become a $45 item by the time you're prepping for fall baking, and that's the optimistic estimate. One commercial supplier even warned professional bakers that prices could soar as high as $130 per bottle come September. Sounds dramatic? It's not. During the last vanilla shortage, bakers were diluting real extract with imitation flavoring just to stretch their inventory. And these weren't amateurs. These were experts who built their businesses on taste and quality, being forced to cut corners just to survive. But here's the kicker most people never hear. Real vanilla extract doesn't just last. It gets better with time. The alcohol preserves it indefinitely, and like a good red wine, the flavors deepen and evolve. That makes it one of the rare grocery items that doesn't just keep, it improves. So buying now isn't panic, it's patience, it's planning. One bottle bought today could be the secret ingredient to your holiday baking 5 years from now. And don't think this is just about cupcakes and cookies. For families with traditions built around food, like Christmas cakes, wedding pastries, and birthday desserts, real vanilla is sacred. It's part of the memory. So when you reach for the bottle and it's gone, or costs more than your electric bill, that's not just inflation, that's erasure. The flavor fades, the ritual breaks, and something cherished slips away. The smart move isn't to wait and hope it doesn't happen. It's to stock up while you still can. Kirkland's $14.99 bottle is still widely available, but for how long? I saw folks at Costco last Thursday with baskets full of vanilla extract. Not because they're hoarding, because they know what's coming. Stored in a cool, dark place, and it'll last for years, maybe decades. And when others are paying triple or skipping recipes altogether, you'll be the one who planned ahead, who baked through the storm, who kept the sweetness alive when the shelves went dry. Number 5, nuts. You might think of them as snacks. A handful of chocolate almonds here, some salted cashews there. But nuts are no longer just casual munchies. They're quickly becoming one of the most threatened staples on the shelves. And the worst part? Most Americans won't realize it until they're staring at a $30 price tag for a bag they used to buy for $12. Here's what's happening. Costco's chocolate-covered almonds, once a sweet $12.99 indulgence, are now sitting at $18.99 in many stores. A jaw-dropping 46% spike. But that's just the opening act. Tariffs are exploding across the global nut supply chain. Vietnam, Ivory Coast, Brazil, Nigeria, and Thailand. The world's biggest cashew exporters are all getting hit with new restrictions and tax hikes. And that ripple effect is now crashing into American retailers. One Canadian Costco just saw its chocolate almond price shoot from $17 to $24 in a matter of months. That's a 59% increase, Baitzda and counting. But the pain doesn't stop there. Almond crops in California were ravaged by back-to-back droughts, reducing yields and pushing up prices. Meanwhile, cocoa, the chocolate and chocolate-covered anything, has exploded in cost by more than 200% compared to last year. So when you buy chocolate nuts today, you're paying the price of 3 separate crises all hitting at once. It's not inflation, it's a full-blown snack storm. Still think it's just snacks? Think again. When meat prices soar, nuts become the next line of defense. They're nature's original protein bar. No label claims, no chemical cocktails, just 6 to 8 grams of clean protein and healthy fats per serving. They fill you up, fuel your brain, and store like a dream. No fridge, no fuss, just nutrition you can count on. During the 2020 shortages, people like Angela, a mom of 3 and gym regular, turned to Costco mixed nuts when protein powder disappeared from shelves. And guess what? She said she felt fuller, longer. Real food still wins. Now here's the strategy most folks miss. Nuts freeze beautifully. Divide your supply into small freezer bags and they'll stay fresh for over a year. You just pull out what you need. It's like having a protein bank in your freezer. Want to go further? Mix almonds for vitamin E, cashews for magnesium, and walnuts for omega-3s into your own super blend. You're not hoarding snacks. You're building a nutrition portfolio that's ready for any economy. Because when food prices rise, and they will, nuts go from optional to essential. They're recession-proof, shelf-stable, and quietly becoming one of the smartest pantry plays of 2025. Don't wait for the price tag to hit $30 and wonder what happened. Act now. Grab a few bags, freeze what you don't use, and you'll thank yourself when everyone else is standing in the aisle wondering why their favorite snack just became a financial decision. Number 6. Canned tuna. You might think a can of tuna is just a humble staple thrown into salads or casseroles, but it's becoming the stealth weapon in the coming food wars. And if you don't act soon, that ordinary could cost you dearly. There's talk in fishing circles that the tuna supply is about to buckle under pressure. The fish that ends up in those Kirkland tuna cans, packed domestically, yes, but sourced from distant waters like Fiji and Mauritius, is already caught in tariff crosshairs. Fiji is rumored to be hit with a 32% tariff. Mauritius could face 40%. And while those numbers still sit in the rumor mill, they reflect growing whispers in import circles. I checked my old Costco receipts. 6 months ago, a 12-pack canned tuna was $18.99. Last week, $22.99. That's not a random spike. That's the prelude to something far worse. And here's what makes the picture darker. Fishing quotas are tightening globally in response to overfishing concerns. Corners of the Pacific and Indian Oceans are being redrawn. Fleets are being restricted, and shipping is costing more in fuel, permits, logistics. Add in the tariff storm on top, and what you have is a perfect storm for protein. When chicken and beef climb out of reach, families lean on canned fish, because a can of tuna packs roughly 25 grams of protein, usually costs under $2 for now, and doesn't need refrigeration until opened. But the math is terrifying. If tariffs combine with shortages and shipping disruptions, that $2 can could double, pushing your monthly protein bill through the roof. During the last scramble in 2020, people started trading tuna cans as if they were currency, trading fish for toilet paper, fish for cooking oil, because once protein supply breaks down, basic canned goods transform into lifelines. Smart cooks and households already quietly stacking tuna, salmon, chicken, and sardines in rotation to avoid taste fatigue and lock in variety. Here's a freezer trick. Alternate flavored cans in water, in oil, with herbs. Store them in a cool, dry cabinet, and they'll hold at least 3 to 5 years safely. You're not hoarding. You're buying peace of mind, because when protein becomes scarce, canned tuna will stop being a backup and become the backbone. Don't wait for your grocery bill to shove you into crisis mode. Lock in those cans now before your pantry becomes a battleground. Number 7. Wine and beer. Last Friday at dinner, the price shock hit me in a way I won't forget. My friend Carlos ordered our go-to Italian wine we used to split, and when the check came back, it read $85. That same bottle 6 months ago, $45. The server sighed and explained, European wine imports are getting hammered with tariffs. That's when I realized retail is about to crash into you. Italian, French, Spanish wines are now staring down 20% tariffs under new U.S. trade policies. Meanwhile, Mexican beers like Corona and Modelo are bracing for up to 25% increases thanks to aluminum and import duties. At Costco, the wine section manager told me in hushed tones, corporate says expect big import price shifts by September. Smart members are already loading up. And she's right. Wine stored properly, cool, dark, stable, not only holds value, it often improves with age. So that bottle isn't just wine, it's a time capsule. Her sommelier friend David put it plainly. Buying wine now is like buying tomorrow's price today. Beer is no safer. A distributor friend told me Mexican breweries are already raising wholesale rates in anticipation. The tariffs aren't just theoretical. When the bills land, those cold ones in your fridge will carry a hidden tax. And during the 2020 supply panic, alcohol vanished before most staples because people panic bought it. I remember a neighbor mocking me for buying extra cases until his anniversary dinner found him begging to borrow a bottle. Well, I didn't laugh. I treated this like an investment, not a gamble. I grabbed 2 cases of my favorite wines and a case of Mexican beer last weekend. I didn't just save money. I built a hedge against inflation, protected against import disruptions. The time to act is now. Store your bottles well. Pour later. And when others are overpaying or finding empty shelves, you'll be the one raising a toast to your foresight. Number 8. Butter and dairy products. You might think butter is something you can always find. The same 4-pack at Costco, always around $13. But that luxury is slipping fast. Last week, my friend Rachel grabbed her usual Kirkland butter 4-pack and was stunned when the total rang up as $14.68, nearly $2 more in just 7 days. That's not a one-off glitch. I called my cousin down in Wisconsin, dairy country, and even there, farmers and co-ops are in panic mode. Feed costs are spiking, avian flu is creeping into dairy herds, and shipping is a mess. The USDA just adjusted its butter price forecasts upward, placing butter price expectations closer to $3 per pound in many projections. But here's the real horror. When disease hits dairy cows, milk yields crash. Less milk means less cream, less butter. That domino hits faster than you think. During the 2022 butter shortage, a year almost nobody talks about. Bakeries and home cooks alike felt the pinch. My friend Susan, who runs a small bakery, told me she watched customers cancel cake orders because bulk butter had become impossible to buy at a sane price. She said she found herself paying $25 for butter she used to get for $12. If butter's the backbone of your baking, that's a collapse. But the game changer, the one most people miss, is that you can freeze butter for 6 months without wrecking its quality. That trick came from old kitchens, from hard times. Buy extra now, cut into manageable portions, freeze what you don't need, and defrost as you go. Some households are already doing this in quiet. I heard of a neighbor, Jennifer, who bought 8 4-packs over the weekend. She crunched numbers based on her household's needs, and she estimates she'll save $40 over 6 months compared to what the price will likely be by Christmas. The storage system they use is simple. Divide into smaller blocks. Use freezer bags, label the date, rotate stock so the older butter gets used first. It's like opening your own mini butter bank. The signals are flashing red, dairy prices are volatile, supply chains are fragile, and smart shoppers are quietly securing their butter now. Don't wait until your baking costs double. Stock up at today's rates, build your buffer, and let your budget breathe while others get squeezed. Number 9. Avocados. Picture walking into your favorite cafe and ordering your usual avocado toast, only to have the server hand you a bill for $18. When it used to be $12. That moment woke my friend Ashley up. Her beloved breakfast was being taxed into luxury. Here's what's brewing behind that green smash. The US imports over 2.4 billion pounds of avocados from Mexico every year. Yes, with a B. Raw. And virtually no domestic supply can replace even half of that. When 30% or 25% tariffs hit Mexican imports, there will be nowhere else to turn. Domestic growers simply can't ramp up fast enough. Suppliers already smell the storm and are quietly raising prices ahead of tariffs even arriving. In California, the so-called Avocado Central, local farmers are maxing out their capacity, and when Mexican supply tightens, everyone chases the same limited fruit, sending prices into orbit. At Costco and grocery stores, I've seen shoppers handling avocados like fine gems, squeezing, sniffing, sorting for ripeness, because they know the game is changing. Here's what changed my own avocado strategy. Pick them at staggered ripeness levels. Rock hard for next week, slightly yielding for the next few days, and some ready now, and store the firmer ones in the fridge to slow the ripening process until you're ready. That little shift turns your fruit stack into a buffer against price shock, and it matters beyond toast. Avocados are nutritional powerhouses, rich in healthy fats, fiber, potassium, vitamins K and E. When fresh produce costs surge, avocado becomes a rare nutrient bargain. Don't wait until your brunch bill says $25 avocado toast before you act. The smart move is to secure your supply now, before grocery shelves turn your favorite green fruit into a luxury fad. Subscribe now. Protect your pantry, your wallet, and your future from food shocks no one else is warning you about.
Thank you for watching all the way to the end. If you found this video helpful, don't forget to hit the like button and subscribe to the channel so you won't miss our daily content. Now feel free to check out some of the newest and best videos currently shown on your screen. Goodbye, and see you in the next video.